So this is the first episode of Chasing Sunsets podcast. Today, today we want to talk about the reason why we got into the RV life, and kind of what happened with the whole buying land in Oregon thing. Because there's been comments on our previous video of people just asking questions of they just need more information. So we kind of want to address those comments, and kind of just give more answers to why we're not buying the land, and why we chose this RV life. We were okay. So the reason why we chose to buy land in Oregon, right,
Yes.
is because we did not want to be in an apartment anymore. So
Okay, yeah. So even before we bought land, we lived in our apartment for a year, and we were getting the itch of there has to be something more in life than
Right.
than this.
yeah, because we would just always do something for the day, like go to the park, do something, and then come home, and then just pretty much do nothing.
I guess the routine that city life gave us was we were over it. Going to work, coming home, seeing, having family time for this certain amount of days, and it just was getting old,
Yeah.
and we kind of just looked at each other and was like, there has to be something more.
Yeah, and we just figured no matter how nice of an apartment we had, or a nice house, or nice
Yeah.
things, we were living comfortably, so comfortably. We had
so
everything we
comfortable.
wanted.
We literally had everything we wanted, and it's like, well,
And
what's next?
it's just like it didn't feel that kind of void where we wanted more, and we knew if we had a nice house with pool, everything, this and that, we would still have those same feelings,
Yeah.
eventually.
Like the material things weren't fulfilling our life, and we knew that material things, they can give you happiness for a little bit of time, but in the long haul it's not going to be there. So we wanted to take ourselves out of the city and put ourselves in a nature area, because we knew for us that is where we're the most happy
Yeah.
at. So that's what we did. We started looking for land in mountain areas where there's a lot of secluded areas, you can say, in the mountains. And we did. We found one in Oregon. We wanted to be close to California because this is where our family is.
We found a piece of land. It was $25,000 for owner financing. So we're like, ooh, this 2.3 acres, owner financing. Those kind of checked all of our boxes.
Correct.
Okay, so we were like, let's just check it out. Let's go to Oregon. Let's check it out. You know what I mean? We drove 8 hours, and when we got there, it was all it was snow. It looked really nice, and we kind of just like impulse, like, let's get it, let's do it.
It checked off
great.
all the boxes that we had, so I feel like it wasn't an impulse buy. It was like what we wanted, so we got it. But we definitely didn't
do any due diligence. That's what I mean by impulse buy. We didn't do any research about the location, about the people around, if what has happened, in the past couple of years, of what problems were of this area. And we kind of put that to the side for now, and we just were like, let's secure the land.
Yeah, to be honest, those things didn't even come into my mind. I am just like, everywhere is the same.
Yeah, well,
and it's not. So.
Yeah, and I had those thoughts, but I was just like, let's secure this land, because I think it's not going to be on the market for long. So we did. We got it, and then we kind of just went home. Like, we secured the land, and we kind of just went home back to California, and then
from there we started doing all the paperwork
that
you have to do when you do buy undeveloped land,
like septic tank, the site evaluation, what do you call it, the property lines, do all that stuff. And we were paying for it. We were doing it, going through the process.
Right.
And then it came time for us to do the septic tank test holes.
Correct.
Right? So we're like, all right, we have to go back there, and we have to do the test holes, because we have to do the septic tank. So I bought a shovel, and we didn't want to pay. We didn't want to pay an excavator.
Yeah, it was like gonna be $800 to $1,000 for someone to come out with their machine and dig 2 holes.
Just dig holes. And I'm like, dude, I can go out there with a
do
shovel and do it myself. So I did. We did that. We went out there, and I got my shovel, and we just spent 2 days? 2 days out there digging holes.
We actually spent 3 days, but Yeah, 3 days, and within those 3 days, we did the holes, and we also took out a lot of bushes to clear the land. And we also actually cleaned up a lot, and we burned a lot of what is it called?
Yeah, like debris, sticks, kind of like, just things that are just laying around.
We were
a bunch
just
of
cleaning
logs.
up the property.
Yeah, we're cleaning up, getting it ready for us to start the building process. So we spent hours, and we were working really hard, like digging up all these bushes, and but what we forgot to mention is when we first got there to when we showed up to do all this, there was two guys in two separate vehicles parked on our property,
and two dogs.
And when we first pulled up, we're like, whoa, what the fuck? Like, there's people here.
Yeah, and we showed up I think it was like 7 in the morning. We drove up, and we seen these freaking guys there, and a huge amount of trash.
Literally a whole bunch of trash.
Like someone just got a big old ton truck, dumped it. Like, what?
Pretty much. And I rolled the window down, and I'm like, hey, we bought this land, and then the first thing the guy said, he popped his head out. He's like, what? Bullshit. he's like, bullshit. We bought this land. He's like, we bought this land with my stimulus check. And I'm like, okay.
No, we bought this land.
I'm like, well, we bought this land. And he's like, no, we did, from billyland.com, right?
And we're like...
And then that's when it was like, all right, what's going on?
Because that's the same person we bought it from.
Yeah, we went through Billyland, and it's like, how does this guy know Billyland? And he literally pulls up the same contract agreement that we had, So then it's just like, all right, what is going on here? What did Billyland do? And then
I asked, I'm like, well, we came up here a couple months ago before we even bought it, to look at it, and you guys weren't here. There's no one here. And then they mentioned that they actually were, but they couldn't drive up that main road to that property because the snow was so high.
Mm-hmm.
So they were actually around the corner in their cars.
Yeah, in their van.
And well, we were like, well, how would we have known that?
Yeah, how would we have known that? And so we both show each other, the contract agreement. And then, so in a way, we can't just be like, oh, let's call the police. You know what I mean? And
it was a Saturday, so of course their offices were closed.
Mm-hmm.
I was, calling them, like, hey, we
calling
have an issue.
Billyland.
And no one was answering, so here we are.
Yeah.
We drove 8 hours to get here.
We bought a whole bunch of stuff to dig the holes, to mark, the property lines, and we're now with these two random guys
in their
bigger
cars.
than us. Yeah, like they're big dudes, and my instinct was to, hey, let's be friendly, let's be cordial with them. So it's not like, let's not, because at first, Corey was the guy's name, Corey, the older guy. He was a little aggressive. At first.
And then he kind of mellowed down once we showed him the contract.
And I was kind of like trying to get on his side and, trying to turn it on Billyland because, I have my fiance and my kid. And I'm not going to try to start shit in the middle of a forest. You know what I mean? Like, that's just not what that's just not smart to me. So, I just started asking them questions. And eventually, he said, we were cool. Eventually, he said, yeah, you guys can just, pull up over there, down the land more, into our land. And, you guys can just park there as a good parking. And, you guys can just stay there. And
do what you got to do until we figured this out. Because we kind of both were confused.
Yeah, we were both genuinely confused because he said that Billyland never notified them that, you're evicted. You know what I mean? You can't, you lost the land.
Yeah.
And then, so we were both on the land. And then us, she was not comfortable. You were not comfortable at first.
No, I wasn't.
She was
we're literally in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Surrounded by huge trees.
Yeah.
And there's these two big guys.
Yeah.
Living out of their car. They're not clean, so my first thought is,
anything can happen, really.
Anything can happen, and it's just the three of us.
Yeah. So.
And we're a lot smaller.
Yeah, and I had a little BB gun, so I had a BB gun, like a little airsoft gun, and like a taser.
I was like, I don't want to be here.
Yeah.
And they're allowing us to drive to the back of the land while they're in the front. Like, what's gonna happen? They're gonna like.
They could easily just like trapped us in there with their car and like, you know.
I didn't feel safe. I wanted to leave, but
we ended up staying. We ended up staying there, and then you know, the one of the guys. One of the guys ended up coming over here, like, you know, he's not Corey. Corey's the guy that had the contract. You know, his friend that was gonna help him build ended up coming over and wanted to talk to us and trying to get to the bottom of things. He seemed very passive. You know what I mean? He didn't seem like he wanted to start shit or, you know what I mean? He just wanted to find out what was going on because I'm sure Corey led him onto something, you know, that he didn't know.
Right.
Okay.
And this guy was actually really smart once you got to talk to him. He was really smart.
They were dirty, but this guy right here that came up to me, he was a little smart.
And it made me question, like, why are they
kind of like, you know,
out
so
here
dirty and
living like this? Because they were actually surrounded by garbage, like piles of garbage. So my thought was, why are they out here like this?
Yeah.
But, you know.
But Corey did seem like a true squatter, though. Corey seemed like a true squatter, okay? Like,
that's exactly.
And he kind of, it looked like he dragged the other guy into, like, you know, living with him. And all the other guy had to do was watch the land while Corey went to work at Walmart. And so we ended up building, and I mean, not building, you know, started doing things, taking out bushes, digging the holes.
We spent 3 days there. And then I think on the third day is when we ended up just leaving because we finished what we needed to do and we left.
No, we didn't leave. We didn't leave just like that. We left. Before that, Corey started knocking down trees.
Oh, right.
So we were just doing our thing, you know, just digging holes, you know, doing some work. And then in the distance, you know, Corey in his car was ramming into trees.
And it's only like a little SUV that he had.
He was ramming into trees, and we kind of already knew what he was doing because he mentioned it while we were talking, is he was going to build, you know, he's going to knock down trees to have a little driveway so he can park on the lot next to us. But in my mind, when he was knocking them down, it just looked like he was knocking them down in our direction. So he was like trying to make his way to us. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, are you, what?
Yeah, to me, I was pretty scared because, like,
instantly I was threatened. I felt threatened. I'm like, oh shit, this guy's mad.
Why is he knocking trees down? He's upset. And, you know, we're in the back with our kid.
Yeah.
I want to leave, so that's what we did. We left.
No, we didn't leave. I called the cops.
Oh, right.
You're going too fast. I called the cops. This is where you know, people in the comments were like, you know, the cops will, you know, get them out of there.
Yeah.
No, they won't. We called the cops, and the cops on the phone was just like, well, because I told him that, hey, he had a contract like us, you know, and he was showing us, and then the cops were like, well, if he has a contract, we can't really do much about it, you know, you know, it has to go through the civil court, you know, it has to go through the courts, and that will allow us to get him out of there. But since he had, you know, the contract agreement, they couldn't do anything. So we're just like, okay, well, and it honestly sounded like he didn't even want to come out there, the cop. You know what I mean? It sounded like he didn't even want to come out there, trying to come up with excuses and this and that. And, you know, they were like, all right, we're going to get on our way. And you just try to get out of there so, you know, when we show up, you won't be trapped in the back. So we ended up leaving. We didn't even say bye or anything to Corey. We were just like, kind of just zoomed out of there. That's when we left.
Yeah.
Okay, after he started knocking down trees and we called the cops and they said that, you know, there's not much they can do. So that's when we left. And I think that was the last time we were there, right? Like, we didn't go back after that.
No, we did.
We did?
Yeah, we did, bruh. We left, we got out of there, we went all the way into town, and we got a hotel because I think that was like the first or second day. I think it was the first day. I'm like, dude, how are we going to leave?
We only slept there one day.
Yeah, and I was like, how are we going to leave when we have to dig these holes? We hadn't dug the holes yet. We had just been there for a day, and I'm like, how are we going to leave already? We drove 8 hours. We got here, and now we're going to just drive back to Fresno.
Yeah, and we didn't even get to finish what we drove 8 hours here to do, you know?
So we went and got a hotel, and we tried to just figure it out. We ended up getting a hold of the property manager up in Leland, and we let them know everything, and he mentioned that, that guy did have a contract with them, but when you stop paying, you're automatically, you know, evicted?
You lose the land.
Yeah, you lose the contract, and that's why they reposted it, and that's when we got it. But they didn't send him any notices or anything that he no longer was.
Mm-hmm. That he was on contract to have the land. So what they ended up.
No, they didn't notify him that you lost it.
Yeah, and he was claiming that he was making payments, right? He was claiming, and then he tried to do this thing where it's like, they are accepting payments, and they said, $200 a month, but they didn't say that it had to be full payments, and I'm like, what are you talking about, dude? Like, he said he was paying $50 instead, and I'm like, that's not how contracts work. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it's just
he was just being dumb. Like he was trying to go around like a loophole or something. So he lost the land.
Yeah, okay. And obviously he wasn't aware of it.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was the conversation we had with the property manager that he needs to get him out of there, but the cop was correct. They can't take him out. It has to go through a court.
It has to go through the court.
So first. Now we were like, okay, how long is this gonna take? Our contract of our apartment is up in Fresno in like what, a month?
Yeah, it was like a month.
And we have things to do with this land, and we can't do it until these people are gone. So it was a big mess.
So we actually ended up going back. I went to Big Five. I got a taser. I got a pepper spray. Because I'm like, if we have to, get into it, we'll get into it. You know what I mean? If we get into it, I'd like to be, have more weapons than they do. I had this big old knife. I had a taser, a pepper spray, and I just had a whole bunch of stuff on me. And then we came back, and we pulled in, and they seen us. And we thought, for some reason, I thought that they were gonna change their tune with us, like they were gonna start being aggressive towards us, because we called the cops. We don't know if the cops came.
Yeah, we don't know if the cops came.
We don't know. And if the cops came, they would have known it was us who called them. You know what I mean? So they would know that, hey, they called the cops on us, so they're not gonna be friendly towards us anymore. Turns out we come back there,
and they're just waving.
They're just waving, like, oh, hey,
how's it going?
Yeah, how's it going? They're like, how's it going? I'm like, hey. And then me, like, I'm very good in situations where, keeping it cordial, not getting, on anyone's bad side. And then he ended up saying, like, oh, yeah, my Social Security is going to take care of it. We just bought another piece of land over there on a different mountain. And I'm like, cool. That's great for you, man.
That's cool.
Yeah. And that's great for you. And then
and then he was mentioning that, he knocked those trees down and he's going to be on this side. So that way he's not on our land anymore.
Yeah, he's not on our land.
He wanted to just give the land to us, and he'll be on this side. Because that whole street or road that we bought the property at is...
That's our land. That was our land.
Say it's like a neighborhood. The whole neighborhood is empty. There's nothing else on that land. Just the piece of land that we bought. Like, there's no one else living there. So there was say the neighbor lot empty, and he took it.
Yeah. So we ended up going back into our land, and we just started cleaning some more. Burning some logs, doing all that, because we still had planned on building. We didn't want to give up the land. Even though Matt had offered it, like, oh, you want a full deposit, full refund on your deposit? And we're like, no, because we really like this piece of land.
No, we really wanted to live there. We really loved it.
Yeah, but it was just that problem of Corey and the other guy being there. So we finished what we needed to do. I dug out the test holes, and we're like, all right, we're done. We finished what we came here to do. So now we were just getting ready to leave, go back to Fresno. Okay?
Right.
So... after that, we get back to Fresno, and I call a junk removal service guy, because I have the address. I can just send him there. I don't need to be there for him to clean up the junk.
Yeah.
And then Corey mentioned before we left that he was going to be gone in a week. He was like, oh, would you mind if me staying here for just like one more week? And I'm just like, yeah, sure. I'm not going to be here. Like, he said he bought another piece of land. Yeah, whatever. So that's all. And then we said bye, and then we left. So... I think like a week and a half later, the junk removal service guy, I get a call, and then he starts. This is the phone call, in the video that you had, in the previous video.
Yeah.
That's that guy, and he started telling us all these things, with some guy blocking the road, and them not letting him pass, and them being aggressive, and turns out it was two different people than Corey and, the other guy. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It was two totally different people. So it's just like,
So in our mind, we're like, okay, great.
well, there's this other problem.
There's another problem now, that there's people going up there knowing that there's empty lots up there
Right.
that no one's living on. They're going up there and they're basically just squatting on the land. And of course it's a big issue for us, because that's the piece of land that we bought, and it's in the middle of all these other lots that are empty.
Yeah.
So
he ended up telling us all these stories about that area, which we didn't know before. We didn't do our
he's
research.
a local, and we're not from Oregon.
He has a company in Bonanza, which is literally like 10 minutes away. So he knows about that area more than we would. So he's telling us all these things, and I had the same thoughts as people in the comments were thinking too, like, oh, this guy's just scamming. He's just trying to get you not to buy that land. But
yeah,
I heard in his voice, that guy, I really totally believe in him, that he was telling the truth, that he heard these things, these things happen in that area. And it honestly looks like those things happen because, it just looks like the boonies out there. But the specific land that we got, the piece, it was beautiful. It wasn't anything like the surrounding areas. This piece of land was really nice. And then what else?
Yeah, he
told us
all those stories, and the reason we also believed it was because when we told our property manager about what happened, he sent one of his security guys up there to figure out what the issue was. And when he did, he confirmed that there is people up there and that they were causing problems. And
he confirmed that Corey was still there.
And
this is weeks after we had left.
And he confirmed that Corey is still up there, but he's up there with other people now.
Yes.
And we were like, what? Yeah, Corey told us that he was going to leave. He told us that he bought another piece of land.
Yeah, turns out he's still there.
Turned out he lied, and he was still there, and he brought other people up there. And when we had called the junk removal guy to go up there and clean up the mess, the first thing that he encounters is these guys blocking the entrance of that road to that lot that we're at.
Mm-hmm.
And
you really can't get around
basically saying, we don't want no new people here.
Yeah.
If you're not from here, leave. And basically giving off the threatening vibe, like, you better leave.
And it's Oregon.
And that's the issue the junk removal guy had to go through, because we asked him to
go out there on our land and
pick up the trash.
The junk removal guy was there with 5 other dudes, right?
And he felt threatened.
Me, it's just me. I'm not that big, and then I have my fiance and my baby. My 1-year-old.
And we were up there, and we didn't feel safe.
Yeah.
And
so
then,
if they can act like that towards those 5 guys, you know what I mean? They will act like that towards us.
So that was another reason why we're like, we don't think we can go back up there.
If I was single, just by myself, and I had, a few friends coming with me to buy that land, I would be like, all right, let's go. Let's do it. Let's get guns. You know what I mean? All that. Because I know people in Oregon, they have guns. You know what I mean? Like, who wouldn't have guns in Oregon in their forest?
That was another thing that the guy mentioned in the phone call was he's heard stories of people going up there and not coming back. Like, things happen up on the mountain where nobody knows about. The police don't go up there. And
yeah, he said...
It's just a position that we did not want to put ourselves in.
Even if he was lying, we wouldn't want to put ourselves in that position.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And the fact that we're going back to where when we were still at the land doing the septic holes, right before we went back to Fresno, we went around the neighborhood or around the block, and there was a family that was living right behind us.
Mm-hmm.
And we wanted to introduce ourselves, so we did. And we drove up and we introduced ourselves, saying, we bought a piece of property behind you guys, and we're going to be building, and just introducing ourselves. And we told them that there was these people up there, and we called the cops, but they didn't come. And their response was, the cops don't come up here.
Yeah. So
that was another reason why we also believe that junk removal guy's story is because, the locals literally said cops don't go up there.
Yeah, and the people behind us, they were nice people. You know, they were very friendly with us. They would seem like normal people, you know. And we just walked up to them and we asked them a few things, and they said, "Yeah, cops don't really come up here." And you know, there's a problem with squatters. They said even if you know you have private property signs, and you know you're gone for a week, they don't care about that. People don't, you know, the people in the area don't care about that. They will break into your house, and you know, we'll live in there while you're gone, you know.
And yeah, they were mentioning that, yeah, it's hard to even like go out of town on
Yeah.
vacation because somebody needs to stay at their house
Yeah,
when they do.
to watch it. And it's just like,
What?
we have a lot of, you know, valuable things that, you know, we're not gonna.
It's
I don't
just
take
not
chances.
what we envisioned for when we were buying this land. We envisioned of just being happy on the land with
Yeah.
no worries, and
Being
it's
able,
just not that. It wasn't like that out there.
yeah, being able to let our kids just run around, but it's really not like that
Yeah.
in the forest estates. You know, it's beautiful, but there's a lot of things that we didn't take into consideration when buying it, and it's the area, it's the people around, you know, what happens around there, you know.
I mean, and it's kind of like, say, Fresno. Fresno has a lot of homeless people, but there's no mountains for them to go hide out in. They hide out in the freeways, they hide out in downtown area. So it makes sense that the people in Oregon that are homeless, they hide up in the mountains, and they're called squatters, right? So it makes sense, you know. If I was homeless, I'd go hide up in the mountains too. But the thing is that those people are not the nicest people.
Yeah. So
They're aggressive. Who knows? They're doing drugs up there.
yeah, they could be cooking meth. That's what we heard. You know, like they go up there to cook meth and you know do meth and all that. So once I got that call, I was like, that was it. I'm telling you know my fiance, we're not going there anymore. I'm not doing it. You know, just knowing what we know now. You know, knowing what we know.
I was so sad.
Yeah, she was really sad, and I was like, I'm sorry. I'm making the decision. We're not going there.
Yeah.
But that was after we had bought the RV. You know what I mean? I bought the RV because I knew, like, okay, maybe this is not the safest place, and I didn't want us to be living in a tent while we build a house or in our car while we build a house.
So when we were doing this whole moving to Oregon thing, we were building a house, building a tiny house.
Mm-hmm.
So in order to do that, we had to live in something. So we bought an RV.
Yeah.
We buy this RV, live in it during the duration of building the tiny house.
Right.
And then that was why we bought an RV.
I bought the RV. I bought a shotgun. I bought other weapons. You know what I mean? I was ready for this kind of situation. But that was only for the potential of problems coming up. But I didn't know, you know, the guy didn't call me yet. The junk removal guy, he didn't call me yet about, you know,
all
the
these
situation.
other things
Yeah, the
that
situation that
he informed us on.
Yeah, and he told us all these stories, and I'm just like, no, I can't. We can't do it. You know what I mean? So that's how we ended up with the RV. I was like, we have to have a place to live in while we're out there because we don't know about the weather. It's gonna be cold. You know what I mean? It's gonna snow, and you know, we found this RV on Facebook Marketplace. I was like, oh, I like it. Let's get it.
It's funny because I had no
interest
on buying an RV. I said, no, it's not in our budget.
Yeah.
We have a budget to build this house. It's going to cost a lot of money for a septic tank, for a well, to build the permits. No, we don't have it in our budget. We're not going to buy an RV.
Yeah, she was so totally set on not buying an RV.
And I said, my parents have a trailer. It's small, but they have a trailer that we could use. It's free. We can use that while we build because we really didn't have it in our budget to buy an RV. But he persuaded me and found this RV on Facebook Marketplace. It was actually $5,000 for 23,000 miles. It was a
1990 Fleetwood Bounder.
Yes.
With 23,000 miles.
And the pictures of the inside were like super clean, no tears, no anything. It was like
looked
really nice.
Yeah, it looked really nice.
It just looks like it had been sitting there. So here I am. Okay, sure. You can, whatever. We can buy it.
Yeah. So just knowing those two things where I bought an RV, bought a shotgun, we were so ready to live on the land. We were so ready to live on the land, and I was ready to, you know, protect, you know, the RV. I got a shotgun.
Yeah.
Really nice shotgun, and, you know, so.
But we got the phone call.
Yeah.
And we're not moving to Oregon anymore. So what do? We have at least 4 weeks that we have to move out of the apartment.
Right.
And we have an RV.
Uh-huh. And we as we mentioned before, we did not want to renew our lease.
We didn't want to keep living in the city.
Yeah.
Another year in a townhouse in the city, I just didn't want to do it.
Yeah, it got old.
It's kind of like tying us down to a bill that it wasn't for us anymore.
Yeah, it wasn't for us. We got tired of it. So we decided that, hey, let's just live in the RV. We can travel full time. This will give us the opportunity to travel around California, because we didn't really appreciate California before. But after going to Oregon,
we definitely appreciate
California now. Like we know the difference now. The diversity. We knew we're gonna miss the diversity here, and just kind of like the culture.
Just the culture, and the way it is.
The weather too.
Yeah, the weather.
The weather is nice, and we have a newfound real appreciation for California, because we've been to Oregon, and I'm not trying to like trash Oregon. It's just the experience, the short experience we had in Oregon.
Very, very, very short.
Yeah, it was very unfortunate, very disturbing. So we just let's stay in California. We're not gonna go.
I actually don't ever want to go to Oregon.
Okay. So we stay in California. All right, we're going too far. All right, we stay in California, and we have this RV. So we decided to renovate the RV. We made it our home. We spent, I bought new shock absorbers. I got new tires, new everything. We painted the inside, a whole bunch of stuff to make it look really nice and feel like home. So that's why we have an RV, and right now we are traveling along the coast. We've been to Big Sur, Monterey, Pismo, Santa Barbara, Santa Maria, Los Padres Forest, and we plan on going a lot further, more inland, maybe, Las Vegas, Grand Canyon area. Inyo National Forest, Yosemite. We're just going to be traveling. We're having a great time. There's a lot of places we still want to explore, and
yeah, I really want to explore outside of the country. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's going to be an adventure for sure. But
okay. Yeah.
Oh my God.
I wanted to get in the comments. Do you want to address it, read some of the comments? Yeah.
Oh.
So let me just read it, and then we can.
Okay. Read it and I'll answer.
Okay, there's this guy, Fred Flintstone. He said, not trying to be smartass, but I can't understand why you're not moving there. From what I can make out on the phone call is that someone blocked someone from going through the road. People are also coming out in droves from the forest at night. Yes, we, or go ahead.
So, okay, we're not moving there. You don't understand? Okay, we're not moving there because... because it's not safe, bro.
Yeah, in my position, I'm taking my fiance and baby into the forest, and I was telling her, hey, it's going to be fine. We'll be good. Don't worry, I get a shotgun. But in my mind, I'm like, ooh, this is kind of risky. I don't know, if we were going to get any trouble.
Yeah.
We barely had service. The cops don't even want to come out there. It wouldn't be.
Before, we were just not aware of, being in the middle of the forest is dangerous, because to us, we've been in the forest many times. That is where we love to go and escape to. So we've never experienced squatters before. And being in Oregon and experiencing that, it's all right, we can't live out here with our kids. Anyone's going to come up on us. We're in the middle of nowhere. No one's going to come and help us. We're so far away from everything. It just turned out to not be safe anymore.
Yeah.
So that is the reason why we're not moving there. And... yeah, people come out out of the woods, and who knows what they're gonna do. So.
Yeah. So another guy commented. He said, "To be honest, the guy on the phone sounds like a scammer. You have to pay him some more money to call it even for work he already did. Exact type you should be concerned with. Sounds like a grifter." Okay, I didn't pay the guy the full amount as I should have. I just paid the deposit. That's why he said, after he took the first load out, they didn't go back there. They just left because they didn't want to go back.
Yeah, they had to do multiple loads because that's how much trash there was out there.
There was a whole bunch of trash, and I only paid the deposit, and I agreed to pay him $600. I paid him $500. Yeah. So I just owed him, I think $100, or I think it was $650. So I owed him $150 more. So that's why, he didn't try to charge me again for work
he
he
was
already
just
did.
saying, you know,
To
this is how
finish the
much he
payment.
picked up,
Yeah.
and just to finish what he
Yeah, to
what we
finish.
owed him.
Yeah, to finish the payment, and so that's why he was saying, I kind of owe him 150 to call it even, because if he would have went back more, I would have ended up paying 1,200. You know what I mean? But he said the 2 loads that he got was $650. I paid the deposit of 500, and then so, I only owe him 150 left. So that was it. So he said, I'm from the area but have no clue about anything going on. Telling stories to get you spun. Dude on the phone is lying, just feeding you stories. Manipulator goes into the bank. I might be able to go back, look at it. I bet the trash is still on the property. I know it's dangerous, but we are willing to change you more to go back there. I don't know what he's saying. But yeah, I honestly don't get that vibe from the trash pickup guy. He seemed
You know,
like,
we had the same thought as you guys.
For real.
This guy's lying.
I'm like, yeah, he's just trying to like not get us to move there. Oh, but
like, maybe he's the one that doesn't want new people there.
yeah, exactly.
Because, we've heard stories about Oregon people don't like Californians.
Yeah.
And we're like, why? We're fucking cool. So, yeah, I just didn't understand, but whatever. But it turned out, some of it is true, so.
Yeah, like the way he was telling me the stories, I really believe him that he was telling the truth, that there are stories, things that go on in that area. Just listen to his voice.
We encountered one of them by going up there the second time and to do the septicals, and there's 2 guys, Corey and his friend, in their cars
squatting
with their 2 dogs in the middle of trash, and they were very aggressive when we first told them, hey, this is our land, and he goes, you're bullshitting.
Yeah, it's bullshit.
Yeah,
and he called his other friend, hey, they're saying it's their land.
And then he comes out of his car,
and he's like,
super
ha!
big,
Yeah.
and he goes, oh, is that right?
Yeah.
And we're just all small. So, yeah, we encountered... Oh, shit.
Oh, gosh. She's awake.
We encountered something like that. So, yeah, it's just not something we want to encounter again, especially with our kids, so...
So, yeah, that's concludes our podcast. Sky just woke up, so, and she just peed her pants.
Oh, my gosh.
So that concludes our podcast. We will do more of these. We're going to, for the next episode, we're going to talk about, our first month in our RV, what we encountered, what we experienced. And,
living RV life is something.
It's definitely different. It's definitely different.
Yeah,
something to get used to, and something that you have to adapt to. So subscribe, like, comment, and we'll see you in the next one.